beginning, on day one, the earth was in outer space someplace. And it was cold. It was covered with water, and it was frozen. And he called this earth to him, who is light. And light is heat. And the earth, all this ice, it was covered. People today, the intelligent people of the earth tell us, you know, there was ice ages. Of course. And then he did his creation thing, melting the ice, taking the water, separating, causing the dry land to appear. And the evening and the morning and the first day, right? This was a parable. It's talking about there was a time past. Understand something. Time belongs to him. He invented it. He invented it on day one, chapter 1, verse 1. And it continued until the end of this creation. Revelation chapter 10, I don't have it. Like I say, I don't have time to go through this thing. But Revelation chapter 10 tells you this. There was a mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was up on his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right hand upon the sea, and his left hand upon the earth. And he cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roared, and when he cried, 7 thunders uttered their voice. A mystery, a secret at that time, for that time. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voice, I was about to write it. I'm going to tell you what they said. And he said, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea, upon the earth, lifted up his hand to heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that are therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that time should be no longer. Time ends. Not right here. You see, this is a teaching about what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. And he said to me, go to the angel and take the book out of his head and eat it. And when you do, it's going to be sweet as honey. Oh, it's going to be bitter. And it went on through chapter 13, chapter 11, right on down through verse 14, verse 15. That should be another chapter, because he goes back and talks about the 7th angel of these 7 angels of chapter 9. This angel that's talking about here in chapter 10 is not that one. But he said, when the 7th angel shall sound, all these things are going to happen. And they come back here and he said, okay, the seventh angel now sound. I want you to try to understand the overlay here. So I wrote an answer back. And I said, if you understand, if you're able to get your mind out of your place where you always stay, if you can overcome your pride enough to hear it. Day 1, 2, and 3 of creation, there was no sun, there was no moon. There could not be days as we know them today. Our day, approximately 24 hours, is the time that our earth rotates fully, 360 degrees. Our year is the time that the earth goes completely around the sun, approximately 365 and 1/4 day. This is not what he was talking about in day 1, 2, and 3. Also, if you'll figure out day 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Because there was no sun. This earth was not in the solar system until the 4th day. And the evening and the morning was a period of time. Now, I believe that each day is the same. Because I believe that he does things according to his plan. We know that day 6 is the day of man. There was no day, no man in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There were a lot of creatures. There was vegetation and there were creatures in day 4, day 5, but they were all made from water. Not a one of them were made from earth. And when they died, their bodies went back to a liquid form. And today, in many cases, we use them for power. The only things created in the 5th day that were not recreated in the 6th day was things living in the water, which tells us something. There were destructions at the end of each day. At the end of the 5th day, there was a destruction of water. Everything that lived upon the earth that did not live in the water died and was destroyed. And everything that lived upon the earth had to be recreated and was recreated from earth, not water. And when they die, their body goes back to what it came from, earth. Is that so hard to get? Is that so hard to understand? I try to speak these things and get people to understand how that Father Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahweh, even some people pronounce it Jehovah, which it's just a bad attempt to try to translate the Tetragrammaton, Yod-Heh-Wad-Heh, by adding the Babylonian vowels. We live in Babylon. That's exactly where you're at right now. Brother Paul been reading to us in Ezekiel a lot of these things, how that the Babylonian people came and destroyed Judea, and Jerusalem, and how the people were carried away, and for what reasons they were carried away. And we pointed out that the very same things that went on then are going on now, all around us. And it's very hard to keep yourself separated. But there's coming a time soon to when we will be separated. And we are told to separate before the destruction. And there's coming a great destruction before he comes back. Before the time of the tribulation. There's coming a great destruction upon the earth. And it's called that great city, Babylon. And it goes and describes, the scripture in the 18th chapter of Revelation describes this place very clear. It's a place here in the latter time, a place of merchants. You know how the ancient Babylon becomes so great, rich. They were a place of merchants. They traveled the roads. They traveled the highway. They traded. They took it back to their city. And things become great. And people loved it. And people from all around came there. They desired to be there because of their richness. They sound familiar? And this last day, Babylon, city, nation, place of Babylon the Great, it's just like it. It's a place made rich beyond any other places by the merchants. The merchants of the world, not just the merchants here, but all the merchants. And it tells us suddenly, this great, beautiful place will be destroyed in 1 hour. And all of the merchants of the world are going to cry as they stand afar off because of the fire of its destruction. And they cry about this beautiful, wonderful place where all the world sold their goods. I don't have to draw you a picture of that, well, do it. Well, I guess for somebody I did. But it says that all the merchants in the world are going to cry, where are we going to sell up our goods? How are we going to sell up our goods? For this wonderful, beautiful place was suddenly destroyed. But he cried,